in the case of the 2008 financial crisis, when mortgage-backed securities started to decline in value, parties around the globe that owned mortgage-backed securities participated in the herd effect, trying to dump the hot potatoes. There were some differences between the 1997 Asian financial crisis and the 2008 financial crisis, including their nature, causes, coverage, and the measures that solved the crisis. In terms of nature, the 1997 Asian financial crisis was a currency crisis that happened amongst Southeast Asian countries, while the 2008 financial crisis was primarily a credit crisis, which was generated internally in the US by a housing bubble. In terms of causes, the 1997 Asian financial crisis was caused by large trade deficits, numerous speculative attacks, depleted foreign exchange reserves, and overspending in infrastructure undertaken by the governments in Southeast Asian countries. On the other hand, the 2008 financial crisis was caused by loose lending standards, irrationally positive expectations on the real estate market, subprime lending, and excessive leverage. In terms of affected areas, the 1997 Asian financial crisis affected Southeast Asian countries, including Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam, South Korea, and so on. But for the 2008 crisis, since the USD is an international reserve currency and not only banks but also personal investors, pension funds, hedge funds, and foreign governments were involved, the risks had a global effect. As for measures that solved the crises, international organizations carried out some rescue measures following both the crises. For the Asian financial crisis, after the devaluation of currencies seriously hurt Asian economies, the IMF provided about $110 billion of short-term loans to stabilize the tiger economies. Beneficiaries were required to follow strict conditions, including higher taxes and interest rates, as well as a drop in public spending after receiving these loans. For the 2008 financial crisis, in September 2008, the US government and the Federal Reserve executed the Troubled Asset Relief Program, which had a $700 billion budget. This program aimed to buy troubled assets from banks in order to minimize the uncertainty in the market. Now let's look at potential indicators of possible future crises. There are multiple signs that can be used as indicators of financial crises to come, of which the most prominent indicator would be the abandonment of expansionary monetary policies in favor of increasing interest rates that is carried out by various central banks around the world. The US Federal Reserve has recently increased their interest rates from 2% to 2.5%, which is at its highest since the 2008 global financial crisis. Whereas the Bank of England has increased its interest rate from 0.5% to 0.75%, the highest since March 2009. So why does this matter? Let's take a look at this graph. Historically, hikes in interest rates have resulted in various financial crises in the past.